Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be working on a furnace. It is a Suburban furnace. It is an SF30FQ. The gentleman brought me the furnace the other day and the fan wouldn't run. I got it here, hooked the power up to it and reached in there and spun the fan, and it worked. And I thought, well, let's do something else. I unhooked the power and I did something else, and I hooked the power back up, and then it wouldn't even spin. The motor did make, when it did spin that one time, it made a noise. So I'd say the fan motor just wore out and it's gone bad, but I'm going to hook it back up to the power just for you guys and gals, and see if I can make it spin and see if it's noisy. And so here we go. Alright, so I've got my power ports right here on the back of my truck. Let's see if the fan wants to run today. Yellow wire is the ground on these furnaces. Red wire is the hot. By ground, I mean DC negative and DC positive for the hot. And no. Oh, wait a minute. We got to twist the thermostat wires together. Let's see if the fan's going to run today. The board demanded it to come on. Let's see if I can spin it. No, she won't work. Now, I did verify 100% that the fan motor was bad, and I'm going to show you what I did. I'm going to unplug the red motor lead off the control board. Chase it back. Yes, that's the motor lead. Then we're going to go underneath here. We're going to unhook the ground wire for the motor. Pull that up here. Now we've got our two leads on our motor. I am going to hook power directly to those leads. And we still have no fan action. So that verifies 100% that that fan motor is bad, because that takes all the controls out of the equation, and so we know 100% for sure that this motor is bad, and it's a good thing because I already ordered one. So now we're going to start changing that motor. In order to change this motor, we're going to have to expose the squirrel cage fan. Take these 4 screws out here. We're going to have to take this cover off this combustion fan, which also clamps the motor in. So there's 4 screws here. There's probably 8 or 9 or 10 over here, and that will expose that motor so we can change it. Just going to snip these wire ties off, because this is the wire that goes from the motor over to the board, the motor lead. Alright, now we'll start taking these screws out. Just get these 4 screws out of this squirrel cage fan cover. And yes, I know a drill or an impact driver would be faster, but when I'm dealing with all this plastic, especially in a furnace, this plastic can get very, very brittle. So I would just as soon work these screws by hand and not break any plastic. I don't like it when I break plastic. Breaking plastic is a bad, bad day. So we try to avoid that at all costs. If it takes me 2 extra minutes to get these screws out by hand, then I'm going to take that 2 extra minutes and really try not to break any plastic. Suburban furnaces have this little triangular bracket that goes over here. When they first started building this model furnace, they didn't have that. I guess they had a little flex there. And so they started putting that triangle in. Now under here is our cell switch, and it is very, very dirty. This whole furnace is very, very dirty. So we're going to blow all this out with compressed air before we ever go back with it. And same thing with the fans. They're very dirty. I'll show you in a little bit. And you might just be able to see the lint and dust and stuff that's on these wires right here. I mean, this furnace is filthy. So it's also going to get a new control board. I always leave that up to the customer, but I highly suggest, if that board has gone through a complete motor, wore a motor out, the motor's bad, I just like to change that board. Do you have to if the board's working correctly? No, but I've just found that it seems to, if you don't change that board, it seems like you will end up coming back 2 months later and replacing that board. So it's just been my experience. Now this one here is a little bit different because the board is actually held. It just slides in some grooves here and is actually held in by this cover. Let's see if I can get this thing to move. Everything is so dirty. I have to get a pair of pliers. There's a little metal bracket they slide down in there to hold everything tight. So let me get that little metal bracket out. There you go. So it's just a little tab. And then that allows this board to slide out. Just like that. We'll go ahead and unhook all this. I'll show you this board here in just a second. How dirty everything is. Get a different pair of pliers. Look how dirty everything is. But yeah. Oh, let me finish getting these screws out of this combustion fan cover, and then that motor comes right out. Then we'll get the squirrel cage fan off and the combustion fan. Get those blowed out real good and cleaned up. 11 screws all together. Now this should just pop right off here. Who am I kidding? Nothing's popped right off this furnace yet. Everything's stuck. It didn't pop, but it did come off. Let's get these motor lead wires worked through this cover. Like so. Now the motor just lifts right out. Well, nothing moves easily on this furnace. It should just lift right out. There we are. All right, there we have our motor and our combustion fan and our squirrel cage fan. Here's our new motor. That's our new board. brand new Dinosaur boards, a Fan 50 Plus. Dinosaur boards are not a sponsor of this video, but I tell you what, if you have to change a board in your camper, do yourself a favor, get you a Dinosaur board. They make boards for just about everything. Furnaces, water heaters, refrigerators. As long as your appliance is not under warranty, get you a Dinosaur board. Now the squirrel cage fan and the combustion fan are both held on with Allen screws. Let's see if we can choose the correct size. There's a little relief in this fan for your wrench. Wrench should go right in there. All right, not that one. How about this one? Not that one. And it might be metric. Sometimes they will do that to you. They'll sneak in some metric hardware in these things. I don't know how they do that. Yep, that's what we got, metric. Let me go grab the metric Allen wrenches. Try metric. Try this one. Nope. Let's try the other one. All right, first try. Well, sorta. Wow, at least the fan moved easy. Usually they're a struggle sometimes to get off that shaft. You see in there? It's dirty. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Oh, let's see if this one comes off as easy as that one did. Set screw come loose. See if the fan comes off. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit more stuck because that shaft is rusted a little bit. So we're gonna have to put a little bit of oil on that one. Put just a little bit of oil on this. Full size. Yeah, probably going to try to push it on first to get it to move. Oh. So we don't want to break that fan. We do not want to break that fan. So we just push very evenly. She's stuck good. Do we dare tapping it with a hammer? Yeah. Sometimes a little shock will do it a world of good. Not this time, but sometimes. Whoa-wee. That sucker ain't moving at all. Man. I'm gonna go see if I have another fan. You ain't gonna believe this. I actually have a brand spanking new one. It's like an 1/8 inch smaller diameter, but it's got the aluminum collar in it. So what that probably means is that I had actually run across one of these before with that aluminum collar in it, and I probably couldn't get it off. So I had to order a fan, and when I do things like that a lot of times, I order two, because I figure if I had a bad one, then I'm probably gonna have another bad one. So yeah, here we go. So we did have another bad one. Make sure the fins are the right direction so that it moves the air in the right way. Oh, that aluminum collar is D-shaped. That's why I can't twist it. So if I could twist that, it'd come right off. So yeah, cool. So we won't worry about getting this one off. Hey, I'm not concerned about it anymore. All right, let's blow this thing out. hold your breath or put your mask on or do something. Oh, mercy. I should have done that outside. Gosh. I went in and blew out the furnace a little bit and cleaned that cell switch, blew that cell switch off too, off camera. So we're all ready to start going back. All right, we're just going to loosely put the squirrel cage fan on. And y'all lay this motor in here. Go ahead and stick this one on too. We'll make our final adjustments after we lay the motor in there. Oh, probably ought to get these stickers off of this one, or at least try to anyway. This fan on there, make sure it's on the right way. Just about like that. Now we'll adjust this fan over here where we have good clearance on both sides. Snug it up. Torque it to factory specs. There we are. Now we will do the exact same thing. We're going to have to wait till we get this cover on and get it snugged up to adjust that squirrel cage fan. So we'll run our motor leads through this hole again, just like we pulled the other one out. This motor has little plastic tabs on the side of it that slide down in these notches. There we are. I didn't quite have one of them in the notch. So now we can adjust this fan. I'll show you on that other motor here in just a second. There's little plastic tabs. There's the plastic tabs. Got one on each side, and they have to fit down in a groove on both sides. And I had one of them wasn't quite where it belonged. So we got that snugged up. Now we'll probably go ahead and do this fan also. Now that we got the motor where it belongs, torque to factory specs, rotate, make sure nothing's hitting. Everything looks and sounds awesome. Now this cover ought to go on a lot easier now that the motor's where it belongs. Just like so. Yep. We'll start putting our screws back. Put a little triangular bracket back over here. Well, we gotta put this on first. Make sure our cell switch is not hitting anything. Here. That means it's working. It's open and closing. Rotate again, just make sure everything sounds cool. Tell you what, we're gonna go ahead and just get these. No, we can't do that right yet. Can't put this on, we put the new board on. So let's open this. This is made in the USA. I believe Oregon. I believe Oregon is where Dinosaur's at. You might correct me, I could be wrong, but I believe that's where they're at. Comes with a 3-year warranty from Dinosaur. Never had to use a warranty. Never had a bad Dinosaur board yet. Now the Dinosaur board is physically a little bit wider than the OEM board this way. So this is what that tab goes in there and holds. So I'm gonna have to cut a little bit off this tab. Got a mark, I'm gonna cut it off. I think I can just use these side cutters. All you gotta do is score it and break it off. So I scored it, it should just break right off. Look at that. I believe this is the right piece that we wanted, and it is. Now we can put squirrel cage fan cover back. Got all 11 screws back in and snugged up. Go ahead and hook our connector back up to our board. Bring our fan motor lead over here. Put it where it belongs on the board. This other connector, put it back on the board. All right, now we got to get the ground wire back on. Get our igniter wire back on the board. All right, now we just got to work this ground wire down behind here. Goes on a ground bus connector underneath the furnace. Like right here. Goes right there, just like that. You know what? I think I'm gonna run that wire down on the other side of that gas valve. That wire's a little bit short. Oh yeah, I go down on the other side of the gas valve and it'll be plenty long. Oh yeah, that is much gooder. Gooder, that is a word, right? Well, it is in West Virginia. It's much gooder. All right, one last time, reach in there and spin the fan. Everything's awesome. Get a little wire tie and tie these two wires back up together. So that's all they had done, is just tied these two wires together. We'll go ahead and test it. We got our DC negative and our DC positive hooked up. Now we're just gonna twist these two blue wires together. Those are the thermostat wires. Look there, we have a fan. All right, let's hook some gas up to it. See if she lights. All right, get the gas cut on. Let's fire back up. All right, see if she fires up. There we are, lit right up. Let that burn for a few minutes. Make sure it smells good. Smells good. Well, there you have it. There is diagnosing and changing your fan motor in your Suburban SF30 FQ furnace. I'm just going to button this up. Going to put a couple wire ties on those wires, slide that furnace back in the case, and call the customer and tell him, come and get his furnace, because it's done. And that's good, because it's nice and warm today. It's almost 60 degrees here today, middle of January. But tonight and tomorrow night, it's going to be like 15. So I bet this guy will be happy to get his furnace back. So hey, I'm going to go down the road and fix another one after I button this one up. And you guys and gals have a fantastic day. And thanks so much for watching my videos. Thank you, thank you, thank you.